Hello, everybody. Welcome to DR Reviews. Yes, I did change the name. And, I would just like to say before we start that if you are looking to be caught up on our latest videos, then I would like you to go down there, hit subscribe, and hit the bell to always keep notified on my latest videos. And then if you like this video, hit that like button. Anyway, let's get right to the review, shall we? Now, today we'll be reviewing Ghost Rider from 2007. Now, Ghost Rider is a very controversial film because of the fact that Johnny Cage is playing the titular Ghost Rider, and knowing Johnny Cage's past movies, you can always tell that he's a little not okay up in the head sometimes when it comes to movies. But not saying he's not a bad actor or that he's batshit crazy. No, I'm only saying he's batshit crazy. But the thing is, this movie was very good for its time. The graphics were good, the acting was okay, but the action was amazing. Anyway, before we get into the movie, spoilers, obviously. And if you want to watch the movie before you see this video, I'll stop right now and I'll let you go watch it. Okay, you done? Good. Then let's get right into it. We start off the movie with our character Johnny Blaze, who's played by not Nicolas Cage. He is riding in a motorcycle contest, I think, or some kind of circus event with his father. Now he's trying to impress some girl and he almost crashes. Now, his father, who is angry that he's trying to impress some girl instead of actually like doing what he's there to do, which is ride motorcycles. So Johnny goes out with his girlfriend Roxanne, and then when he comes home, he sees that his dad's passed out drunk. But then he also finds out his dad has cancer, so then he goes out to work on his bike to clear his mind a little bit. Then a man comes up to him and offers him a deal. Now, if you don't know who this is Mephisto, who, for some reason, New Rockstars is just obsessed with calling out every single little thing that involves the devil in the MCU. But this is Mephisto. And he is looking to make a deal with Johnny Blaze to cure his father of what was cancer. For the cure, all Mephisto wants is Johnny's soul. So, without hesitation, Johnny signs it with his blood. And the next morning, his father is healthier than a horse. So, when Johnny was hanging out with Roxanne, ready to prepare for his stunts, his father goes on ahead without him and does a fire loop stunt, which ends up killing him and devastating Johnny enough to break up with Roxanne and leave her. Now, while driving through the titular kind of road, he gets a bunch of flashes of the devil in his vision, and then he falls off his bike. And he meets face to face with Mephisto, calling Mephisto out, saying that he lied to him about the deal. Now, Mephisto said, well, technically I didn't lie to you, I just never told you that last part. And so, with that, Mephisto had cursed Johnny to any time Mephisto needed him, that he will come out as his rider. And then years go by, and Johnny has now become a world-famous stuntman, mostly known for his crashes. And so, with this particular stunt, he is jumping a bunch of cars, and he basically hits his head on the way down and takes a very bad tumble, enough to where any normal person would get killed, or at least have some brain damage. But no, Johnny just gets up, walks off. Later on that night, his best friend's telling him that he has a guardian angel on his shoulder. Well, Johnny looks out the window and says, no, maybe it's just something else, as a flash of lightning reveals a skull, which is foreshadowing for later. When they get back to his apartment, and Johnny basically is watching monkeys do karate and eating jelly beans out of a wine glass. Very classy. Anyway, the next day, or I think it's the next day, Mephisto's son Blackheart escapes from hell and decides to go on a little rampage. Is to try to find some kind of contract that one of the former writers had hidden. So, with that, Johnny Blaze also has to prepare for another stunt show, where this time, instead of jumping over a bunch of cars, he's jumping over, I think, I don't know how many helicopters, where one fucking wrong move and he's just shredded up into little pieces. But before the show, he meets his childhood sweetheart, Roxanne, which then kind of throws him off a bit. And so when Johnny goes to do the stunt, he actually makes it this time. It doesn't crash. But then he immediately just doesn't even hesitate and just goes and finds Roxanne. And as she's going down the highway, he does some kind of crazy shit where he just kind of stands in the middle of the road and almost gets ran over by Roxanne. They talk. They end up talking about going out on a date. So, while Roxanne is waiting for Johnny to get there with her date and all that, Johnny's like psyching himself up in the mirror when all of a sudden he starts feeling really hot. Like his face, his hands are bright red, almost as if they're about to catch fire. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, obviously, yada, yada, yada. So, he goes outside to find his motorcycle has been, out there the whole time, and Mephisto was waiting for him. He gets pissed off to see him, but Mephisto does not care, because now he needs Johnny to hunt down his son Blackheart, who Blackheart has now recruited a lot of his demon friends. So, what happens is that Mephisto takes Johnny, puts him on his bike, and sends him over to find Blackheart, where the absolute coolest scene happens, where Johnny gets launched off the bike, and then he gets to walk through and basically turns into the Ghost Rider. And now we get to see this badass in live action. The first time we've ever seen Ghost Rider in a live movie, and he gets knocked out almost immediately. Then he awakens again, and he gets his signature chain. He uses it to kill one of Blackheart's friends as they all disappear on him, and Johnny goes to find, the caretaker, who is, looking after Johnny. He somehow knows who Johnny really is and fixes him up after a long night of prowling the streets, finding evildoers and all that crap. But, the caretaker seems to know a lot more than he's leading on. But we will probably find out what happens later on in the film. We end up with Johnny again. He is trying to get a hold of Roxanne, trying to explain, he's super sorry. And when she comes over later, she kind of goes off on him, and then he kind of has to explain why he's like that. And he says that he is the Devil's Bounty Hunter, She obviously leaves because that sounds fucking nuts. But right as she leaves, Johnny gets arrested, taken out of the police station, and when he was arrested, and he gets thrown in a cell with a bunch of evildoers who are picking on some little just because I'm a teenager at first, and they start picking on him because he's a big famous celebrity. Johnny turns into Ghost Rider again, basically just wrecks everyone, steals a dude's jacket, and then proclaims that the teenager was innocent, which is no surprise there. And Johnny leaves with his bike again. Then there's a big old police chase where Johnny goes up a giant building, writing that shit down like an absolute badass he is. And then killing one of the air demons while he's at it, throwing a helicopter around, and then when he rides down the building, the glass is literally so hot that it's just melting on contact. And when Johnny hits the ground, he obviously sees Roxanne, but she already knows that what Johnny was telling her earlier was true. So what she does is she tries to reach out for Johnny. The cops stupidly start shooting while she's in the way. I don't understand why they did this. And, well, Johnny rides off, kind of escapes the police for now. Then, later on, after he's all Ghost Ridered out, he goes back to his apartment to find his best friend dead, and Blackheart has almost killed Roxanne. So, when Blackheart finally gets a hold of the Ghost Rider, he says that it's either that Roxanne dies or Ghost Rider can bring him the contract of San Baganza, which holds like 1,000 souls, I'm pretty sure. And so Johnny knows who might have it, and he goes to the caretaker, and then the caretaker reveals that he does have the contract, but that Johnny basically has a weapon against the devil himself, and that he didn't do it out of greed or out of anger. He did it out of love. He signed his soul away for love, and that makes him dangerous. So then the caretaker reveals that he was the previous Ghost Rider that stole the contract from the devil. And basically there's this cool-ass writing scene with Spider Bite's version of Ghost Riders in the Sky playing in the background, where Carter Slade rides on his flaming horse, and Johnny rides on his motorcycle. They all just start going down. Carter Slade gives Johnny a shotgun, which then Carter Slade rides off into the sunset like the absolute badass he is, even though we only got to see one scene with him. Best scene I've ever seen. I would love to see that shit again. If they ever make like a new Ghost Rider movie, I would love for them to bring Carter Slade back. But anyway, after a quick tussle with the water demon, and Johnny then ends up getting to the actual town of San Baganza and trades Roxanne for the contract. Blackheart then gets 1,000 souls put into him, and then he becomes Legion. So then Johnny, immediately trying to turn his back on what the deal was, tries to kill Legion. Doesn't really work because right as he uses the shotgun and with his Ghost Rider abilities, shoots him everywhere, he just reforms back together. So there seems to be no way to kill him until he realizes that Legion has a shit ton of souls in him. So he uses his Penance There ability to basically feel every last pain and suffering that all those souls have committed and turn it onto Blackheart, which ends up killing Blackheart. the devil arrives, telling him that he can have his life back now. His duties are done. But Johnny's like, no, I don't want to do that. And basically gets the devil to be his mortal enemy from now on. Says goodbye to Roxanne and ends up getting control of the writer. And that is Ghost Rider. Jesus, that was a great film. There were a couple things in there that I didn't really come to agree with, but I feel as if if Nicolas Cage were to really have his full freedom as Johnny Blaze, well, it would be something totally different. So I'm glad of what we got. Anyway, thank y'all so much for watching. And again, if you like what you see here and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and then hit that bell to stay updated with our latest videos. And if you liked this video, please hit that like button. Anyway, I've been DR Reviews, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.